When a car mechanic and a librarian put their heads together to choose the perfect car for driving around the world, you might think they'd come up with something like this. Or 007's car for tight corners. Or something used to tricky terrain. But no, this is their choice for the global challenge. This humble 1957 Morris Minor has been transmogrified by Jay at a Leeds garage. Specially strengthened with a 1300 engine, it's capable of pulling 7 tons. Extra fuel tanks give it a 500-mile range. It begins a 3-year trip in September that promises to be no minor achievement.
The Morris Minor, as far as two-wheel drive vehicles go, they're very, very simple, very reliable, and surprisingly a lot of parts internationally available for them as well. So really not such a daft idea as it might originally sound.
Keeping watch over the £10,000 car, the Guard Doggy Benji. But what's the Moggy called?
The car at the moment.
Just the car at the moment. It will develop a name. Whether it will be repeatable on television again, I don't know, but it will develop a name, I'm sure. These things have got to come in time rather than just be invented on the spur of the moment, I think.
So the car with no name will head through Europe and Africa, where other cars would fear for their treads. Shipped to India and driven to the Himalayas, they'll face the kind of slopes it's hard to practice for in Leeds. But our intrepid duo found a way. Two extra tyres on the back axle and snow chains will be brought along to get them out of holes like this. But for now, Jay must have referred to the Morris Minor handbook. Oh, look out! After the extremes of cold in Nepal, they'll face the heat and humidity of Thailand and Malaysia to Singapore. With its soaring temperatures and tropical rainstorms, there's only one place in Leeds to prepare for that. It's the kind of sight you might well blame on the heat haze or the African sun, but this really is a 33-year-old Morris Minor bounding through the tropical terrain of Central Africa. It's here because driver Jay Albus and his companion Linda Burke wanted to know if it could be done. So far, their only problems have been minor ones, and it looks like their Moggy is up to the challenge of its round-the-world voyage. It was given 1 or 2 tricks under its bonnet at the garage in Leeds where Jay worked, including a strengthened chassis and a 1300 engine. That's big for a Morris Minor. After a champagne send-off in January, the unlikely-looking global expedition was on its way. From Leeds, they motored to Genoa for a ferry to North Africa and their biggest challenge, Morris Minor versus Major Desert, the Sahara. But it seems Morris Minors are as good on sand as other beasts, and it sailed along through the centre of Africa and into the tropical rainforests of Zaire. There, a travelling TV producer spotted the car's talent and made what might be Zaire's first film on the remarkable Morris Minor.
A lot of interest in it, especially in Nigeria, where they're familiar with Morris Minors because they used to have them there. And people nearly fall over backwards when you say you've driven down from England in it. That was very nice. The worst thing that's happened to us with the vehicle was when we were coming through the desert. We were carrying a bit too much fuel and water, and the vehicle took off a couple of times, and it's consequently bent the back axle very slightly.
We'll do it. We've got this far. I'm more confident now that we can get the rest of the way around.
Some of the roads have been very difficult so far. I think if we can do what we've done already, we'll definitely make it the rest of the way.
From here, they head for the coast. The next leg, shipping the car to India, will soak up reserves of cash. They plan to work where they can to raise money. One thing they'll never sell is the car. It's already promised a place in the Car World's Hall of Fame at the Bewley Motor Museum. That's when they finally return in about 3 years' time.
Once in India, they motored north via Gujarat and Delhi to Nepal, telephoning Major Minor from Kathmandu as part of the garage's 10th birthday celebrations. Then they came down to Calcutta and on to Madras, where the car was shipped to Melbourne, Australia. Here things changed. Jay and Linda split up, and Linda had reluctantly to return to the UK. A year later, Joss came out with more funds to join Jay and who also wanted to travel. So Joss and Jay readied the car for 3 travellers and refurbished it with new tyres, battery and other parts at the workshop where Jay had contacts. Then we went off the hills to try out the camping equipment and the new differential. Half an hour after that, we managed to break a half shaft. So we have to put another one in.
Not the half shaft, it's the disc bust. Woohoo!
How far has this disc gone? 1,000 kilometres?
So what's happened exactly?
Well, we have one Australian rebuilt differential here. It's done less than 1,000 kilometres of nice, soft, easy driving, as you've already witnessed. And the crosspin here snapped the crosspin in half, causing nasty damage to the crown wheel and pinion. Allow the 2 planetary gears to fall out.
So where's these magic bolts? Let me see.
Bolt these 2 gears in, and away we go again.
That's big enough.
It's rather akin to driving a motorcycle with a loose chain after this repair. However, it works.
How tight does it need to be? Well, those 2 magic bolts got us back to Melbourne. There we had that differential and another spare rebuilt. and we put the car with a shipper to send it to Argentina. And 3 months later, we three in the car all got together again in Buenos Aires. I'd been in Chile for a couple of months awaiting the car, so came over to meet Jay and Tanya at the airport. They just discovered that Tanya was 2 months pregnant. Well, that's interesting, I thought. I wonder if our old friend that we pick up tomorrow will fancy being a maternity ward. Well, this is called offloading a Morris Minor. We spent all day getting this beast out of the port. And now we've been trailing all around Buenos Aires to find somewhere to get it off the back. Everything else has been unloaded from the container. All the other goods have been taken to somebody's house. The rest of them were put on the back of a pickup and taken off to somewhere else. And all that's left in here is a few bits of wood and a Morris Minor. Well, hey, first time. Can't be bad. 3 months in a box, and off it goes. That's the fan belt spinning. There's a broken bolt on the alternator. Jay's got 2 spares in his pocket he brought with him from Australia. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Very interested in what's going on. Well, it went up in the end. First time I've ever put it up. And I found a hole in it. Now this stove seems to be sort of overacting a bit. What is he doing?
A bit vicious on this petrol.
We think we've got aviation fuel here instead of petrol for running this on. Violent little Indian beast. We're resorting to a local escape, a specialist or exhaust specialist, who's quoted as $20 to stick it all back together again. Cosworth. ¿Y cómo se llama? ¿Cómo? Raquel. Hola Raquel, me llamo Joss.
¿Cómo?
Joss. J-O-S-S. De Inglaterra. Y Raquel de Argentina. ¿Tiene hermanos?
Sí, somos
6. 6 en todo.
3
Bueno.
varones y 3 mujeres.
¿Cómo?
3 varones y 3 mujeres.
Oh, bueno.
3 varecitas.
¿Y tú más alto o
No,
medio?
en el medio. No.
Medio, bueno. Y aquí su casa. ¿Y viven allá con sus padres y abuelos? ¿O abuelos? ¿No?
Abuelo no.
¿No?
Mira qué bonito, no se para.
¿Y cuántos perros? Un perro aquí, muy simpático. Y un otro allá.
Diana, vení, Diana.
Puede que tu carne humana no resistiera el acero, pero el acero tampoco puede resistir tu ejemplo. Que pare un momento el son, que enmudezca la palabra para escuchar el latido del Che Guevara. Que siga el
And a modern one in operation. Plenty of light. You will find a British mechanic called J. Albers just completing the job of replacing the half shaft and the differential on the Morris Minor. The Morris Minor we all know and love. It went bang about 50 metres outside of here tonight on the way home from the pub. And it was a pub too. A very good imitation of an English pub. But unfortunately the differential didn't like it. Virginian man, is there anything to go by? Although they still think that the Malvinas belongs to them, they have very little animosity against the English. We've just been offered this workshop, as far as I can gather, at no charge, and with great friendliness. Now, I just had a long conversation with a coach driver who's just rolled up, who came in and looked at the differential and generally gave us his advice on the subject, as far as I can gather it in Castellano. Castellano is what they call Spanish here. They don't talk about the language of Spanish. They talk about price. It is in Buenos Aires, so we're going to fill everything. Well, this is deepest Patagonia. We've got some pretty impressive scenery around here.
caminito de lino, sendero Goya sembrado de piedra, caminito de lino que junta el valle con las estrellas, caminito del indio del valle con las estrellas, tanto que tú es una norte mi raza vieja. Antes que en la montaña la pachamama se ensombreciera, antes que en la montaña la pachamama se ensombreciera.
del Fuego. Not that there's a right lot of it to see at the moment, and this is how we're getting there.
Van ordenando los rumbos del pensamiento. Quiere el trotecito lento de una milonga campera. Va saliendo campo fuera lo mejor del sentimiento. Ninguno vaya a pensar que vengo en son de revancha, no es mi culpa si en la cancha tengo con qué galopear. Que me quiera ganar, hay tener buen parejero. Yo
That was a party of 3 Canadians, father, son, and I think girlfriend, who the young man's riding a bicycle from Alaska to Tierra del Fuego. And just before we got on the boat, father had not seen that the bike parked in front of the truck and had driven the truck straight over the bicycle. What you saw there was they'd borrowed one of his tools and Allen keys and things from us to help change the gears and sort them out. And then the man trying out the bicycle at the end. We exchanged addresses and one or two other useful bits of information, and we may see them again. That's how we have to carry hitchhikers through Usaya National Park. Okay. This young man from Germany, this is the end of his trip. He's just cycled down from Canada. Well, it's taken him 3 years. And there's a little rabbit.
a bottle of champagne?
Ah.
The flag needs straightening out. Parque Nacional Tierra del Fuego, Bahia La Pataya. The end of route number 3, 3,202 kilometers from 0 kilometers in the federal capital, Buenos Aires, following the route to the sea islands of the Atlantic and the Antarctic continent, integrated into territory of the República of Argentina. Well, we've walked another 100 yards away from the end of that road and come down to this pier, which has got rather a nice view of the Beagle Channel. And some fine mountains up to the left too. Well, it's mighty beautiful here, and it's mighty cold. So we better have some lunch, turn around, start going north. Yippee! The sun's just about reached the puddle that we came through last night on the road, but it's not got to our campsite yet. And everything there is still very cold. This is the pan that was soaking last night. Going to be some time before that gets classified as washing up. I know what that milk's like. Solid, Jackson. Oh. I wonder what those two are up to. Well, those two said they didn't want to. Well, Jay's happy to be filmed. I don't think Tanya is. Don't know what I look like this morning. I feel quite good. I managed to get warm and stay warm all night. What I see you wearing now is what I was wearing in a sleeping bag all night. Oh. Should have some coffee soon. Some porridge.
Well, Shepherd's fucked it.
Dog's chasing an ostrich. And the dog's given up. The ostrich is away around the corner. Wow. Well, we're pretty high on the Patagonian Altiplano, and we've come across our first river that doesn't have a bridge over it. To find out how deep it is, we don't have any waders, there's only really one way to do it. Okay, here we go. It's not going to be warm. It's just going to like to fall over those bags. God, it's cold. Just below the knees. It shouldn't be a problem for the car. Ah, Jesus Christ, it's freezing. Ah, bells. Oh, legs are aching. Oh. Okay. This house is down. What it's worth. Right, let's have you. Well, the little fella can't decide to take off, can it? Just go a little closer. But it can sure shift. Yeah, we got some kind of road junction here. What have we got? Calafati left, 97 kilometres. go that way.
Oh wow, it's a real road.
A real road. Stop, look left, look right, you never know.
Well, good day from the outer reaches of Patagonia. Here we have Senor Jos Browning at the wheel of the mighty Miner, blasting along through the wastelands of Patagonia on something that actually resembles a road for the first time today. If we just try and take a closer look at the road here, we'll see lots of dashboard, a lot of wiper blade and very little road, so we'll come back into the car. Take my word for it, it's very boring and very windy out there, as you can probably hear. How are you feeling about wielding this piece of large, heavy, mighty English machinery around the world, Mr. Browning?
It's wonderful. The best thing I ever did in my life. A lot better than walking across rivers. My feet are finally getting warm. Well, the scenery around here might look pretty Scottish, but in Scotland you don't get a lot of these. I'm pretty sure you don't see many of these, and you sure as hell don't see any of these. Calafati Glacier. We'll go a little closer. This is the old Yorkshire Argentinian game of glacier watching. You can hear them cracking around out there. I've been sitting here for the past 3 or 4 hours waiting for something dramatic to happen. How many sandwiches? My hat, my seat. Not quite like being at Headingley, especially as I've got the Surrey County Cricket hat on. But it's not far off. I wouldn't name the batsman that it's rather similar to watching. Every now and again something happens. And you've had enough me at the moment. Because you can be sure that something will happen while you're sitting up there. You should be sitting in my hand, pointing at things. Keep looking at different bits of ice, thinking that one's going to go, that one's going to go.
¡Ah, mira, mira el pedazo! ¡Mira! ¡Filmalo, filmalo! Ahora va a salir.
Ilusión de un buen recuerdo y canto aunque se me quiebre la voz, sabiendo que esta guerra está matando mi canción, pero el silencio no lleva a nada mejor. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Una luz que alumbre todo y un poquito de ilusión, un pedazo de esperanza para aclararnos la razón. Propongo una caricia, camina con la cola atravesada. No es que no valga la pena, pero hay ciertas cosas con más importancia.
Well, good evening. I'm about to spend my first night inside a Morris Minor. I went up to the glacier on my own today, so Jay and Tanya. I wanted to flop about in the Calafati town. I didn't want to sit watching me filming glaciers. At 12 o'clock the petrol station ran out of electricity, so we couldn't get any petrol till 2 o'clock. I wanted to be off. Oh, it's all right, said Jay. There's quite enough to get you there and back. Minus 50 kilometres. So I'm 50k from Calafati. I rode out the national park. It gets about 3 or 4 vehicles a day, all of which have now gone. It's 8 o'clock at night. Got a bottle of water, electric kettle, some coffee, and I think that's about it. Book to read, plenty of electricity in the battery, no petrol in the tank or in the jerry cans or in the stove, and lots of nice sweet dreams to have about Mr. Albus. What he's thinking I don't know, tucked up in his hospidaki back in Calafati. But I shall now have to wait until the first car comes along in the morning and see if they've got any spare fuel I can buy off them, or give me a lift into Calafati or anything like that, because I'm certainly not walking anywhere tonight. So night night. Get some petrol out of the first person that came by with a petrol car about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're all back here and sorting out a few things. One of which is the tyre that went pop just coming out of Ushuaia. And Jay is practicing his gomeria skills on the inside of this cover. other satellite. And here's one we prepared earlier.
Magic.
Well, that should be a very good spare. I'm not inclined to throw this tyre away. It's only done about 2,000 kilometres.
3.5.
Alright, 3.5. So with this and one or two other little repairs, we think the future is wonderful. Well, I'm up on the top deck of this boat at the moment. It's blowing about force 6, well maybe 5. And what's out there is, if I can get the camera onto it, it's an albatross. Come back to you when I find it again. About 100 kilometers into Chile, having spent a lot of time in Argentina, and we've picked this route to come around the other side of Lake Buenos Aires, from Chile Chico to Coyhaique.
Well, here we are at the little town of Pucón, about 30 kilometres outside of it. And there's a lovely little area, and you're about to see something pretty amazing. Yes, Jay, the man who is more afraid of cold than anything else in the world, is swimming in the snow. And there we have Mr. B. Snowball fights in the swimming pool. There's a brave man, if ever I saw one. No! Chase!
Come on in, the water's lovely. Sonia.
I think I'll wait for the cabin somehow.
I'll probably do.
Yeah.
That was Pukon, and by now Tanya was getting interested in having a 3-month checkup, so we hightailed it all the way north to Santiago. There we found an ultrasound person who announced that Tanya was bleeding a bit inside, had to lie down for a fortnight, and couldn't continue bouncing around in a Morris Minor. So, after a period of rest, she and Jay hopped on a plane and via Miami and a shufty around Florida went back to the UK. I stayed in Santiago, residing in various places, for the following 8 months. While I was puzzling out as to who to travel with, or to set out on my own, I took some work teaching English, some jobs fixing minis and other small cars, and had an entertaining but unprofitable time selling helium-filled balloons outside the gates of various municipal parks in Santiago. I also trained for and entered an 11-kilometre road race. Well, a cup of tea turned into dinner, and now I'm getting a bit of a guided tour of this copper mine.
Luego después también tenemos una zona en el año 45 por efectos de un terremoto, después vamos a ver arriba,
Sí.
se hundió la mina.
Sí.
Entonces hemos hecho un túnel de 400 metros y nos hemos puesto debajo de ese derrumbe. Y hemos hecho labores así, casi subverticales, inclinados, para que caiga el material por gravedad nada más. 10 metros, 8 metros. Eso. Son los huecos
That's a hole for dynamite. Y esa piedra verde.
Este es el óxido del cobre.
Ah, sí.
Este es el cobre, sí.
Sí.
Acá tenemos la cantidad y este es el la sampleíta. Sí. Y esta es la roca que alberga la mineralización, no es intrusivo, granulorítico.
Verde allá y también rocas roja.
La otra roja, sí. El rojo, ¿por qué ese color rojo? Por la presencia de óxidos de fierro.
Ah, sí.
Por eso es su color rojizo. El verde nos indica la presencia de óxidos de cobre.
Ah, sí.
Labores antiguas. Como le decía, del año 1940, 1945.
Ah, sí.
Entonces se explotó bastante todo eso y quedó así, digamos, puro hueco. Entonces en el año 45 se produce un terremoto y se hunde.
9 o'clock, so I think I should stop for the night. This place looks as good as any. So, there's all my dust. It's 7:30 a.m. It's bloody freezing, and this is the sunrise over the Cordillera. Although the real Cordillera is a good deal further in that direction. Right, little car, time to get cracking. Brrr. Well, this is about an hour later. This scene's called Getting Lost in the Desert. Come from there. I followed what looked like a tasty looking road in that direction disappeared and ran out completely behind that hill. I'll have a squint around. There I am, more or less. That's the road I followed, disappeared behind that hill. What looks a bit more promising is this. It turned out to be a shortcut into a sand dune. So I'm stuck. I'm going to give it a dig first before getting the sand ladders down. See how it goes like that. Sand ladders time. I've jacked up that back wheel to get the sand ladders underneath. I don't know if that's cheating in the get your car out of the sand with a sand ladder game, but I'm not sure I'm all that bothered. Let's see if it works. Back on the road. Right. Now that I've got unstuck, I'm going to see if I can get unlost. Very nasty noise of radiators and fans. Those radiators are a bit wobbly at the best of times. Let's chuck a bit more water in. More sand. Let's get back on that road. Such as it is. The trouble is, a lot of the time, the desert's better than the road. It was the road that produced that bump. Well, it's the nearest thing I've come to a signpost for a long time. But it's not what you call very informative. None of those places are on my map.
Van ordenando los rumbos del pensamiento. Quiere el trotecito lento de una milonga campera. Va saliendo campo afuera lo mejor del sentimiento.
The place behind me, San Pedro de Atacama, which is famous for its mummies. It's a village of just under 1,000 people, and there's a collection of archaeology put together by a religious man called Lepage. The place was shut last night, but it should be open about 9, which is half an hour ago. Had me breakfast, boiled egg sandwiches, jam sandwiches, plum jam, mate, brilliant, made it in Santiago. Right, I've just spent the last hour packing this car, and if this time will behave itself and not jump all over the place, I'll put this in as well.